Hey everyone, welcome to Natural Blondes. I'm so excited to be here with you today. I want to come and talk to you about something that's really near and dear to my heart, and that is hypothyroidism. And hypothyroidism is having an insufficient amount of thyroid hormone, and those symptoms can cause fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, heavy periods, constipation, low libido, skin issues, hair loss, so many issues in people. And the stats really are that about 20 million Americans suffer from some type of thyroid condition. And that's about 60 people or 60% of those people are really unaware that there's even a condition. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what you can do if you have a hypothyroid and what kind of blood tests and blood work you should have done to make sure that you're in control of what's going on with your thyroid. So for me, I became a hypothyroid person when I had my first daughter, and that started in 2006, and gave birth to my daughter. Everything went great. And then all of a sudden I kept putting weight on. And then I noticed I had a pretty big goiter going on around my neck. And the first few doctors I went to, all my numbers seemed fine. And what I ended up finding out is that all they were really testing was my TSH. And the problem is with your TSH is, of course, your thyroid stimulating hormone, but that's not the only number that is really important to say what's really going on with your thyroid. So if you do not know if you have a thyroid condition, but are definitely looking at some of the symptoms that I have mentioned, you really want to go to your doctor. And of course you're going to get a TSH done, but you also want to get a free T4 done, a free T3, an antibodies test. You also want to get something called reverse T3. A lot of doctors don't like doing that test, but they will do it for you. It does take a little bit longer than an average blood test, but that'll even tell us whether or not your body is converting your T3 to T4 efficiently or not. So there's more than just a TSH for your blood work. So I want that to be spoken about so that if you guys get blood work done, you can always send it back to me and I can help advise you on maybe what you can be doing supplement-wise and food-wise, which I'm going to discuss here in a minute. So I've been struggling recently with my thyroid again. I did have a surgery in March, and so you know that when your body is going through something really stressful, such as a surgery, it could be a wedding, it could be a divorce, the death of someone very close to you, your body can start having more reaction. So the thyroid is actually a really emotional gland, which most people don't know. So when these big, immense, stressful occurrences happen, and yes, stress can happen as a positive part of you, but there's also negative parts. So, those exciting things are also stressful too. And so your body sometimes doesn't cope as well as it should. And so you'll notice that if you're on thyroid medications, or if you're on herbs, whatever you may be doing as your thyroid treatment, you might have to get some lab work done and get adjusted. So this time I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which ended up becoming an autoimmune condition. So when it becomes an autoimmune condition, now your thyroid is almost attacking itself, and you may have to go a little bit further and more intense with your meds or even what you are eating. So it's very important to have a good diet when you have a thyroid issue, because if not, you're just going to continue to put weight on and weight on and weight on. So we really want to do foods that are very, very good for your thyroid. One of the first things you have to think about is omega-3s. So omega-3s are very, very important for nourishing the thyroid, and they do help with hormone balances. And so if your thyroid is out of balance, and that's a hormonal organ, sometimes your pituitary, your adrenals, because we have that a possibility of being really, really tired. So your adrenals will be out of balance. Sometimes your reproductive organs will be out of balance. And this is why women will have heavier periods too and become iron deficient. So omega-3s are a very important product for you to be taking on a daily basis. The next thing I like to talk about too is coconut oil. So not everyone's all about coconut oil, but I think it is a good thing for you to cook with. It's great for your skin. Coconut oil does help with your metabolism. great energy boost, helps with fatigue, and you want to make sure it's organic and first cold press. That's really important when it comes to coconut oil, because you don't want to be doing some just kind of off the wall brand. You want something organic and first cold press, just like you would want your olive oil, okay? Very important too is seaweed. So we want to make sure kelp's coming in and things of that nature. We need sources of iodine to feed the thyroid naturally. Now, I'm from the Cleveland area, so for those of you who are not in a place that is by an ocean, our soil has absolutely no iodine. So if we have no iodine, a lot of times we're going to have a goiter. That is why we are called the goiter belt. So we do need iodine coming in to feed our thyroid on a daily basis. If you're not someone who's a fan of seaweed, one of my options that I have done is I will take, seaweed that's hard and dried, and I will put some of that in my eggs if I have eggs for breakfast. But you also have the ability to take kelp or dulse, and those are two great nature sunshine products to really get your iodine in for the day. They also have other vitamins and minerals in them as well, so it's very helpful in all the rest of the issues your body may be having if your thyroid is deficient. Then when you talk about fiber, so you do need fiber when you have a hypothyroid issue, because a lot of times we become constipated. So if we're constipated, of course we're going to have issues with our body letting things go. Being hypo, it actually decreases your gut mobility for how fast things can move through you. So you definitely want to have some fiber in to help keep things moving. So my goal is always like 30 to 40 grams of fiber per day. Get your beans, your vegetables, and your fruits in. And the other thing I want to mention is if you are someone who takes Synthroid, you have to make sure your fiber is, I would even say 2 hours away from when you took your medication, because fiber can interact with your Synthroid. So that's very important to know. Seeds are also really awesome. They're going to give you some fiber, but they also give you some good fats. So you can have like chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. I love putting chia seeds in my protein shake in the morning. But they also are really good at stabilizing your mood and your brain. A lot of times we end up with brain fog. So that's also why we really want these good fats and omegas coming in to make sure our brain is working correctly. I was telling my friends last week, I was trying to get my YouTube together, and it was about 10 tries, and then I had to stop. And so you'll notice some days, if you're hypothyroid, your brain is not functioning as good as other days. Your energy might not always be as good as other days. So you have to pay attention to what's coming in to you, and these seeds and the good fats are going to be really beneficial to you in both aspects. Definitely need probiotics. People who have a thyroid issue automatically are going to have a gut issue. They will always come hand in hand. And a lot of doctors don't really recognize that when you're out there looking at them. So if we're getting our probiotics in, we have great probiotics. I love taking Elevated 11. That's absolutely one of my favorites. It doesn't, have to be refrigerated right away, but it's the strongest one that we carry. And I feel like it does a great job with keeping my bowels regular, as well as keeping me with great digestive no digestive issues, we'll put it that way. So, but if you want to eat some probiotics, you can do kimchi or kombucha, eating your sauerkraut, as long as it's not cooked to death. But any kind of these fermented foods are really important to keep the gut working correctly. Another really important food I find is Brazil nuts. So Brazil nuts contain selenium, and this selenium is really awesome for helping to activate your thyroid hormone. So if you can get the selenium in, it's actually going to protect your thyroid gland from damaging itself, and it actually helps to kill off any free radicals. So having a handful of Brazil nuts every day is going to be really beneficial, because you're going to be able to now work with protection here, so you don't end up with a huge goiter. The other aspect of that is too, you can work with eggs and sardines. Those also have selenium in them. But the rule of thumb is to at least have 2 Brazil nuts a day, and that should cover your selenium issue, or selenium content, selenium value for the day. See, sometimes my brain still doesn't work as good as it should. White beans. So white beans are very high in iron. Women should definitely be eating more white beans, especially if they still have a period. Great for protein, gives that energy boost that you're looking for. The people who are low in iron will find that their synthroid, their levothyroxine, their nature thyroid, armor thyroid, whatever they're taking, will not work as effective as it should be. So if you have low iron, and you may have had this tested through your doctor, you definitely really want to have some white beans in your life. So if you can take your meds about 4 hours after you had white beans or an iron-rich meal, your meds are actually going to start absorbing and digesting much better and more efficiently to help your body, okay? The other thing that I think is really, really important is collagen. So collagen has L-proline and L-glycine in it, and this is great for the digestive system, and it's great for improving the lining of the stomach. And from personal experience, someone who has thyroid issues, it has helped my hair more than I can ever say anything's helped my hair. It has helped my nails grow. It has kept my skin very, very nice. So if you have thyroid issues and your hair is falling out, your nails are breaking or peeling, or your skin, if you're getting these dry skin patches, you need to be on collagen. I will tell you, it doesn't happen right away, but about 3 months, you're gonna wake up and say, wow, my hair's growing in thicker, it's not falling out anymore, my nails are getting stronger, my skin looks great, everyone tells me how my skin looks like I'm glowing, and it is doing well for me. So you gotta try the Nature Sunshine Collagen. It is the best product you will ever take, I promise you. So there are also some foods that we need to avoid if we have thyroid issues, okay? So I'm gonna go down that list of things you should probably never ever do if you can, all right? One thing is a little bit of fruit. So there's certain fruits that are harder for the thyroid to process. Peaches, pears, and strawberries. Those are the top 3. So if you can eliminate them altogether, even better. But I would say once a week at most on either of those. Cruciferous vegetables. So you can look up some stuff online and you'll get conflicting stories on what people think you should do with cruciferous vegetables. So if you're eating spinach, if you're eating broccoli, if you're eating cauliflower or Brussels sprouts, these can interfere with your thyroid hormones and they can kind of enlarge the thyroid and create a goiter. So I'm just letting you know, if you have a neck that looks better than mine, you can see my neck right here is swollen right now, okay? So we're working really hard on my diet right now and getting my supplements and everything under control so that this can go down. If this is something you deal with, do not eat these foods. Do not eat these vegetables, okay? Completely eliminate them because you will notice after you eat them, your thyroid will enlarge even more, your neck can become red, you may have some breathing and swallowing issues, okay? Never, ever, ever, ever drink tap water. Fluoride and chlorine are found in tap water, and that will inhibit your iodine absorption. So we need iodine for our thyroid. No matter what these doctors say, if you're Hashimoto's, if you're Graves' disease, you still need iodine to make the thyroid happy on a daily basis. So always make sure that you're drinking, purified water, whatever brand it may be. Just be careful. I'm always into like Essentia or Fiji. I like a higher pH water. I think those give us a better option of waters than doing something like Deer Park that we don't really know how it was processed, okay? Soy foods. We don't want to do things that are estrogenic. So stay away from the tofus and the soy milks and the edamame. Our body will have a hard time processing this excess estrogen, and this can kind of cause us to gain more weight and become fatter as well. So my other thing, and I'm going to go on this really quick, is when we talk about estrogen, remember, if you're eating meat and it's not organic, there most likely was estrogen put into that animal. So, these cows and things are shot up with this estrogen to make them produce more. So for this reason, I'm also not really into drinking milk or doing dairy. So if you really want to do dairy, you have almond milk as an option and coconut milk. Stay away from the soy. And I'm really not a fan of the dairy. If you want dairy for protein purposes, there's obviously other ways you can get protein, such as in meats, or even in your collagen, if you're taking the Nature Sunshine Collagen, you're gonna get about 13 grams of protein per scoop. Definitely need to stay away from the gluten. The gluten does not process in the digestive system very well. If our digestive system is already slow, gluten's gonna make it slower. So if you have celiac disease, you know you have to stay away. Some people are just gluten sensitive, and most thyroid people are gluten sensitive. So I know some people out there would like to do sprouted breads like Ezekiel. If that is something that you like, great. If you are really, really struggling, or if you have a goiter, stay away from wheat completely, whether it is live or dead in some processed breads, okay? Bad fats. So you really don't want to do fast food. You don't want to do even fatty cuts of meat. Stay away from things that are fried, okay? Please don't make KFC one of your new favorite stops. That is not what we want to do here. If we're going to eat a fat, it should be an olive oil, something good like that, coconut oil. We can do our omegas, do our nuts. That's where we want our good fats to come from. Sugary foods. I don't even think I need to talk about it, but sugar is a ton of calories. There's no nutrients there. It doesn't do anything for our body. It's not fueling it. It is not giving it any benefit besides, ooh, it tasted good. So, you know, if we can eliminate sugar in about 2 to 3 weeks, you won't even crave sugar anymore. Just remember, you have to eliminate it completely for your body to let go of it, all right? We don't want to really do any processed foods, not into microwavable meals. We are not into things that are prepackaged. There's too much sodium in there. When we have a lot of sodium, that's going to cause us to have water weight, which is really not awesome. You can sometimes in a hypothyroid person see a puffy face. And a lot of times that puffy face happens when our body has this drop in temperature, right? Well, this drop in temperature ends up causing us to have more water retention. Well, where does the water retention come from? Excess sodium, and I'm not talking about sea salt, I'm talking about mostly processed foods and canned soups and things like that. But sodium and alcohol cause us to have that kind of puffy face, and I've had it before. And you can see there's a lot of adrenal fatigue too. If you're craving a lot of salt, you know your adrenals need a little bit of support as well. So the last but not least, what you want to avoid is alcohol. So alcohol is actually estrogenic, and it can suppress the thyroid and its ability to use the thyroid hormone. So you really want to omit alcohol completely if you can. Very, very important, okay? Alcohol is not great for anybody, and it really does a lot of bad things, I will say, to your liver. And your liver has to process these hormones, just like we talked about with that reverse T3. Well, your thyroid sends T3 to your liver has to convert it to T4 and send it back up. If your liver is having too many issues or sluggish because you want to drink alcohol, that T4 is never going to come back up and help to balance the thyroid out. So that's a huge issue when it comes to thyroid people. We really want to make our liver happy too, because that's where all of our hormones are processed. So one other thing I want to talk about is if people are doing medications, especially, you know, Synthroid, the levothyroxine, we take them first thing in the morning, and then we have to wait at least an hour. You need to make sure you're waiting at least that hour, if not 2 hours. So I've told people if they're doing that, at least set an alarm, wake up, take your med, and go back to sleep. Because a lot of times coffee coming in too early to people's life will actually make their meds not work correctly. So keep that in mind. You don't want your coffee to come in too early to where your medications were. So, you know, I talk about this because I'm on a weight loss journey again, and this happens every so many years to me where my thyroid becomes out of whack. And, you know, before I think about it being my thyroid, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to step up the exercise. Maybe I need to do things a little bit differently. And then the weight comes back on. And then I'm like, all right, now I think it's my thyroid. So I kind of joke with people that the best weight you're ever going to lose is the weight of other people's opinions. So I don't like when people are saying, oh my gosh, look how big that person got, or look how horrible they look. We don't know what struggle they're going through, okay? Especially when you see someone with a neck like mine, and we've seen worse, or people who have rolls in their neck. You know that their thyroid isn't happy, and they need a little bit of work. So I always want you to remember we're all on our own struggle. We're all on our own mission of trying to make us better and make other people stronger too. So, I love talking about thyroid.